$40 million. I hate to tell you this, but I got bad news for you.
You're DEA? I'm Special Forces.
We gotta figure out who set us up.
Well, like we're working together?
Yeah. No, like we're in the same area code.
Together.
Where's my money? It ain't down there, I can guarantee you that. Give me the keys. You want them?
Come get them. That was uncalled for.
Two Guns.
Make it rain.
Rated R. In theaters August 2nd.
Okay, in any other reality, this would be pretty badass. Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg starring in an action comedy together. Yeah, you would think that that'd be the case here, right? Nope. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We're starting a brand new month off by taking a look at two movies released on August 2nd of 2013. And both of them have 2 in the title. One is a sequel, one is a movie that has the number 2 in it. So this is essentially the episode of 2s, if you will. And our first movie that we have here, the biggest of the 2 new releases, is Two Guns, in which we have a DEA agent played by Denzel Washington and a naval intelligence officer played by Mark Wahlberg finding themselves on the run after a botched attempt to infiltrate a drug cartel. While fleeing, they learn the secrets of their shaky alliance, neither knowing that the other was an undercover agent. And again, I went into this because of the pairing of Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg, because I knew the possibilities were there for greatness, and thankfully, they are the best things about the movie. They really do work off each other very well. They keep you invested in the film overall. Here's the problem, though. They're the only 2 things about this movie that are good. Okay, seeing Paula Patton's boobs is pretty awesome, especially with, the fact that, she had just broken up with Robin Thicke at the time, which Robin Thicke, what the fuck were you thinking, man? Because, I would have jumped on that almost immediately, but besides those 2 things, and also Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg, I ruined that joke by saying the wrong name, but you get the idea. This is a terrible movie, and it's a movie that doesn't look terrible when you watch the trailers for it. I mean, it doesn't look that great, but it doesn't look that bad. But this is one of those things where you have to look inside the book and not just judge it by its cover, because once you open that book and realize what you just read, you realize, oh yeah, this is a terrible movie. This is a movie that just doesn't work because it's lazy in terms of the story, it's lazy in the action, and pretty much just everything else. I mean, yeah, Washington and Wahlberg are great together, but like with The Heat, just because the 2 leads are working off each other, everything else is not going to work either. Because, yeah, everything else that's been done in this movie has been done to death so many times, and they try absolutely nothing new with it. It doesn't help that there are multiple bad guys in this, which, yeah, it's basically taking the Savage's playbook where you have no idea who the fucking bad guy is supposed to be. I mean, you can't take any of them seriously at all. They're all Saturday morning cartoonishly evil in terms of how bad they are. Edward James Olmos is this Mexican drug overlord. You have James Marsden as this corrupt naval officer. Bill Paxton's a corrupt CIA agent. I mean, Bill Paxton is so awful in this movie because he's just out in the open, and you could just easily tell he's the bad guy from the first moment you see him on screen. Like, he does not give a fuck at all, and not in a good way. Like, at least with Olmos and Marsden, you kind of see the hidden evilisms in them all, but they don't really show it until later on. But Paxton's not even trying to hide in this movie. Like, Hicks from Aliens would look at Paxton's performances and go like, game over, man, game over. And it's like, the worst thing about this is that he died shortly after this movie came out, so this was one of the last things people saw him, man. But, hey, to his credit, he at least ended his career on a much better note with Edge of Tomorrow. I'll give him that, but there's also way too many stupid twists, and I hate movies with stupid twists and turns, and too many double crosses that serve no purpose to the story whatsoever. There's plot threads in this that make no goddamn sense at all. Why do Washington and Wahlberg blow up the diner a day before they rob the bank? What does that even do to them? Like, the whole thing with Paula Patton's character, like, who's she really working for? The DEA, the bad guys? The movie never gives you an answer for it, and quite frankly, they don't give a shit whatsoever. The biggest problem with this movie is that, just like The Bourne Legacy the year before, it's the most simplistic, predictable action movie that we have ever seen, and it's been done to death. If you have to rip off The Bourne Legacy of all things, The Bourne Legacy, you have failed as a movie in general. But then again, I wouldn't expect much from the same director that gave us Contraband, Balthazar Koramahu, who, yeah, talk about 2 bad films in a row, but hey, to his credit, he did eventually find his way back with Everest a couple years later, which turned out to actually be his best overall film, and we'll touch on that in 2015, but Two Guns is a movie I really went into with a lot of high expectations for, and it just failed to entertain on all levels. Washington and Wahlberg can't save the movie to save their lives. I mean, this is that movie that's uninspired, it's lazy, it takes the cheap way out, the story makes no sense, the villains are terrible, the twists are terrible. It's a terrible, terrible movie. Have I given you the point that it's terrible yet? I wanted so much better from this because of the people involved in it, and they just fail on every single level. Just a really bad movie overall, but hey, it's okay. This is just a blemish off of these two guys' work because their next two films would actually turn out to be really good films. Mark Wahlberg will get to redeem himself with Lone Survivor at the end of the year, and then Denzel Washington will redeem himself the next year with The Equalizer. So, all is right with the world, and I consider this to be one of the few mistakes that these two guys have made as stars in films. Because, yeah, it's really not their fault the movie is terrible. The movie just was bad all the way from the beginning to the end. So, yeah, take that for what you will. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the other two we have this weekend, a sequel, because the first film was such a success, and Sony said, "Great, get the Smurfs 2 out so we can have it out within 2 years. Go, 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 go!"
On July 31st,
Hello!
everyone's back.
Let's get Smurfing.
George Lopez as Grouchy.
Oh, I sprained my face.
Christina Ricci as Vexy.
Hello, kitty.
With Katy Perry as Smurfette.
Why are we going so slow?
And Hank Azaria as Gargamel. The Smurfs 2, rated PG in 3D and Real D 3D.
You know your movie is terrible when George Lopez is the first name that shows up on the cast list. You know, forget Katy Perry, fuck Christina Ricci, fuck Hank Azaria. George Lopez is at the top of our list. You know you're in trouble. But, surprisingly, it's still better than the 2025 Smurfs movie. Yes, I said that. I will go to my deathbed saying that the Smurfs live-action movies are at least more tolerable than the Smurfs animated movies, especially the 2025 film. And this movie is terrible, don't get me wrong. It's a bad movie, but they're at least trying with this. I mean, there's at least something I'll say about it that actually does kind of work, and I'll touch on it when I talk about this after I'm done with the synopsis here. The evil wizard Gargamel, once again played by Hank Azaria, creates a couple of mischievous Smurf-like creatures called the Naughties that he hopes will let him harness the all-powerful magical Smurf essence. But when he discovers that only a real Smurf can give him what he wants, and only a specific secret spell that Smurfette knows can turn the Naughties into real Smurfs, Gargamel kidnaps Smurfette and brings her to Paris, where he has been winning the adoration of millions as the world's greatest sorcerer. It's up to Papa, Clumsy, Grouchy, and Vanity to return to our world, reunite with their human friends Patrick and Grace Wilson, and rescue her. Will Smurfette, who has always felt different from the other Smurfs, find a new connection with the Naughties, Vexy, and Hackus? Or will the Smurfs convince her that their love for her is true blue? Whatever the fuck that means. I mean, the literal definition of true blue is unwavering in one's commitment, extremely loyal. And Madonna had the song True Blue as well, so what do they mean by that in the plot synopsis for this? But it doesn't really matter because, like I said, this is not a good movie. I'm not saying it's a movie that has to be seen, but it says a lot when the two live-action Smurf movies at least had more something at least tolerance to it than the animated Smurf movies did, The Lost Village and the 2025 Smurfs movie. I mean, this movie is bad. Don't get me wrong, it's a bad movie, but there are some things I do like about it. Like, once again, Hank Azaria is pretty good as Gargamel, and I like the fact that he's essentially made a living as, you know, this guy who has all this magical powers, and he puts it into work in Paris. That's a fun little idea here. I even like the idea that you have these two other Smurfs, played by Christina Ricci and J.B. Smoove, who try to seduce Katy Perry's Smurfette character over to their side overall, and, I mean, that's a fun concept overall you can have to work with here. But other than that, though, that's pretty much all I gotta say about the movie. Fun concepts, just not a good script overall here. And it's a movie where it shuts your kids up for about an hour and a half. And yeah, I usually badmouth movies like this, but when I watched it, there was nothing about it that I really hated about it. It's just kind of like, we're doing this again, really? Like, how many times can we do the same fish out of water story with these Smurfs and Jeff? Because we've seen at least 3 movies with them doing the fish out of water storyline here. And it says a lot when the first one and this one are the ones that actually try to put some effort into it. And this is Roger Gosnell, the same guy that ruined the Scooby-Doo for a generation. I'm sorry, the Scooby-Doo movies are not good movies, but hey, then again, they did lead to Matthew Little eventually becoming the official voice of Shaggy and all that, so take that for what you will. And introduce us to Linda Cardellini, of course. Most of the world to Linda Cardellini, so can't go wrong with that. And then again, Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar got married. What am I saying? The Scooby-Doo movies maybe did do some good for the world, even though the movies are not memorable at all. This, however, yeah, this is not good. I mean, the storyline with Neil Patrick Harris and Jayma Mays being brought back in here because now they have a kid who was actually Jacob Tremblay in his film debut, and then they got to bring in his Neil Patrick Harris' stepfather, played by Brendan Gleeson, which feels really unnecessary. I mean, you could do this movie without bringing back Neil Patrick Harris' family into this. I mean, there's so many better things you could be doing with a Smurfs film in general. And sadly, no one has been able to open up that opportunity of what they can really do with it. They just look at the Smurfs as the minions for the minions, except they're blue. And a studio like Sony or Paramount sees their success at the minion success at Universal. It says, we want our own minions. Well, we have the Smurfs out here. Let's turn them into the minions. Let's make them the most obnoxious characters ever. Except the minions actually do have funny moments more times than not. The Smurfs, when it comes to movie form, not so much. The best thing that's ever come out of the Smurfs since the original movie was the Christmas Carol that came out after the first film came out. I mean, that's easily the best thing that's come out because it uses the animation that looks very similar to the 80s TV show, which I grew up with. A lot of people grew up with that. I mean, but then other than that, though, that's about it, man. These movies are not good movies. And I would never say it to any person that's not, any kid out there who's not, to anybody that's not a little kid, to see these movies, because these are not good movies in general. If you really want to get out there and see a really good Smurfs movie, go back and watch The Smurfs and the Magic Flute. And even that one's not great, but it's like the original animated series. It's at least trying, and it's at least not going into these lame territories to try to jiggle, be the equivalent of jiggling your keys in front of a baby to get them quiet. I mean, that's what most of these movies are pretty much, and yeah, it's not really something I would say that anybody out there should watch. I mean, if you've literally nothing else on, like the world has come to an end and there's just one TV channel that's playing The Smurfs 2 at any time, I would say shut that off. But if you have to watch television, it's not going to hurt you to watch it one time. Other than that, though, there's no reason to watch this movie if you're not a Smurfs fan or a little kid. Just, yeah, not a good movie at all, but hey, it's at least better than the recent animated movies, which I don't think I would have ever thought to say that about anything, because, usually animation's better than live action, and yet with the Smurfs, I would rather watch the live action movies than the animated films again. Really, I would. And so with that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll have a much better slate of movies than we had to start the month of August off, because we have 7 movies to look at, including Neil Blomkamp's follow-up to District 9, that is Elysium, starring Matt Damon, Sigourney Weaver, and Sharlto Copley. We also have We're the Millers with Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston, Emma Roberts, and Will Poulter, who are a fake family as they're trying to go to Mexico to get a shipment of weed, and it leads to hijinks ensuing from director Rawson Marshall Thurber, the guy who gave us Dodgeball. We have the Cars spin-off that was originally supposed to be a direct-to-video release, but someone at Disney said, Cars makes the money, baby. We gotta put this shit on the big screen, even though nobody was asking for it. And I mean, it did better business than they were expecting, and who knows, it actually was probably, some of you might be surprised to know that it's actually better than Cars 2. That's not really saying a whole lot, but still, take what you can get. We have a sequel that I don't think really the demand was there for it, but Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters. And then we have a bunch of notable indie films, including Lovelace, which, hey, Amanda Seyfried starring as former porn star, late porn star Linda Lovelace. Is she really dead? Okay, she did die in 2002, so she is deceased, but hey, I'll take that chance. I'll take that chance and see the movie. We'll take a look at Lovelace. We'll take a look at In a World, which is a movie about a dying form of entertainment in this world, and that is movie trailer announcers, with one of them in this one being played by, why am I forgetting her name now? She was in Over Her Dead Body. Oh, come on. Come on, remember it, come on, I don't want to have to look it up, come on. I'm going to have to look it up. Lake Bell, it was on the tip of my tongue and I couldn't remember it, good lord. But we'll take a look at that, and then we'll also take a look at Rose Byrne, starting part of an ensemble cast in the British comedy I Give It a Year. So 7 films to take a look at. It might be coming up tomorrow, or it could be coming up on Monday, depending on how I feel after we get all the stuff out from Steel City Con. So, yeah, there'll be at least a reviewing number go out tomorrow. So even if we don't get an episode of this show tomorrow, you'll definitely get it on Monday. But we'll take a look at these 7 movies coming up then. So next time that happens, you'll see it here. So with all that said, I'm out of sorts right now. How can I not remember Lake Bell? But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed me losing my goddamn mind there for a second. But with all that said, if you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. I gotta get out of here. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.